would not eat for 2 to 3 days. I would lose the weight. I would look spectacular because I was young. The conference would end. I'd go to the airport and I'd eat pizza. I would just decompress and say, oh, I can, now eat. I always had an eating disorder. It takes effort to become effortless at anything. It's not militant. It's creating baby steps that you can see through.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Forever Fit podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Amy Rosen, a successful MAVY Wellness member, a crusher transformation. And we also got to connect in Cleveland at the NHA conference. So Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Maxim. It was really great to connect with you at the NHA and have that photo of us, with our fit vegan t-shirts on.
Yeah. And you guys did a little push-up, the little push-up line with you and Judy and Wanda.
When you meet Maxim, he might tell everyone to just get down and do their push-ups, and we had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's very military, like drop down, give me 10.
That was definitely different.
Yeah. Well, beautiful. I really appreciate you taking the time to, to record with me today and for people to, hear the transformation that you've had. And, we're going to go over the ups and the downs and how you navigated them, because I want people to understand that this isn't about having a perfect journey, but it's about showing up consistently. And that's ultimately how you get to where you want to. But before we dive into like what made you want to take on this transformation, do you mind giving a little bit of a background to people as to who you are, what you do, so people can understand that you have a life outside of working out and meal prepping, like you're actually busy and have obligations, and you didn't have 18 hours a day to exercise and get great results.
Sure. I would say going back, I'm 60. I retired at 65 exactly a year ago. But prior to retiring, I had a very, very robust career. And it was in the beauty industry, the professional beauty industry, and then design and construction. So the point is that it was very fashion forward and fashion oriented. So what did that mean? I was a young executive. I was 30 years old, and I would have to go to trade shows and look perfect because I was in the design business. And I was the first female executive in my company. So I had to wear business suits that were fashion forward. So before every conference, I would lose 3 to 4 pounds to fit perfectly in my suit, because I have, by my DNA, I have a pear-shaped body. My rear end is a little bigger and my waist is very, very thin. And so I needed to lose 3 to 4 pounds to really look good. And I always did. I was 30 years old. I was relatively, young. Our body bounces back faster. So what would I do? I would not eat for 2 to 3 days. I would lose the weight. I would look spectacular because I was, young. And this is how people perceived me. The conference would end. I'd go to the airport and I'd eat pizza. I would just decompress and say, oh, I can, now eat. And so my point is, I always had an eating disorder, but you would never know it because I was always 10, no, not even, that's just recently in retirement. It was always like 8 to 10 pounds heavier than I'd like to be. So I would only lose that weight, for these business functions. When I say I had an eating disorder, it was very real. I still feel like I have it now. We'll talk about what Fit Vegan did to help me manage it. But after any kind of event or anything, I would just eat like crazy. And I'd put on 5 pounds. It wasn't 20 pounds, it was 5 pounds at a time. So I always had this eating disorder. And throughout my career, Monday through Friday, I had no time to do anything. But I always worked out on the weekends. I'd go to the gym Saturday and Sunday. And I was one of those people, Maxim, that if I didn't like an exercise, I didn't do it. Now, my bottom is big, like I wasn't obese, but it was just on the big side. So I wouldn't really focus on that because I didn't like it. I would do the same exercises every time. I do the same, this machine, I pull down, And I was the person in between sets. I would daydream and I would just like sit there, like I really got, you know. So this brings me fast forward to where I was. I think your question before I met you is I'm newly retired. I'm 65 now. My body doesn't bounce back so fast. I lost a lot of muscle. I always had a very thin waist, which I was one of those women that you went to the beach and my stomach caved in. I was born that way. It's just, I never thought I'd ever have to do a sit up in my life, ever. So, my stomach always looked great. I can't do sit ups. Um, so now my body changes. I'm 65 and I see it. And I'm vegan. I became, let's call it whole food, plant based, about 10 years ago. And I've had coaches here and there, but all they want you to do is eat chicken and eggs, right? You know, and have
Yeah.
meat. And so I really needed, I was looking and in search for fitness on the fitness side. And I needed someone that would understand, you know, my life. And I really needed to work better in the gym. So fast forward, I met you at NHA, and I had a lot of reservations when I first met you. We could talk about them, but I think that kind of brings me, now I'm 65, 66 actually, as of 2 days ago. And I have a
Oh,
lot more
happy late
time.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a lot more time. And so we met and, you know, here we are.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I did not know that you worked in a fashion industry
Yes.
before. It is when you said that, like you wouldn't eat for a few days just to lose like, 3 to 5 pounds and be able to fit in the clothes. It makes me think of how many times do like women and men do that, but then you get such great compliments that you're like, well, if I look great and everyone telling me that I'm looking great, then it kind of reinforces the behavior that was done to achieve that look. And then you kind of feel like you have to keep doing it to keep getting those compliments because then you know you're doing something right. But the methodology is just not
Right.
the healthiest or not the most sustainable. So, um, thousands and millions of people have done that. I used to do that when I was modeling way back in the day before I knew what I knew now. So that is that is interesting. So
And
you
then some
mentioned,
people only saw me, you know, because I was on the national stage, meaning it was a national thing that I did. So people would
yeah,
only see me at my best. They wouldn't see me. So I would say 80% of my time I was bloated and overweight. But you know what, Maxim, when I look at my pictures, I wasn't as bad as I thought I was. It's sort of there's a word
it's
for it
always like
where
that.
we're critical of our bodies in a way that I wasn't so bad. I'm nitpicky at not being perfect, but um, sometimes we're overly hard on ourselves, and I think I was.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Sometimes you look back at photos where you thought, like where I thought I looked fat, and you're like, "That I look great." But I remember not feeling great back then. Um, so basically, again, this could be an assumption, but from 30, when you got into that role to until you retired at 65, like that's 30, was that 35 years of doing this thing of like
Um,
not eating and all that?
yes and no. I transferred. I went from the beauty, professional beauty, to design and construction, so I didn't have to do that as much. And you know, you learn to dress. So I was not in as much of a corporate executive role where you would see the whole shape because you be at a convention kind of thing, you know, in a very corporate kind of way. So you know, the styles changed. I think people eat differently. Most women have big bellies, and the styles change to cover that up. There are a lot of big blousy, not even blousy, but big sweaters and tight pants. It covered it up, and then you wear boots and you look great. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, so I was in a more casual kind of fashion forward look. It covers it up, and before you know it, 2, 3 years later, you develop a belly, but you're not tucking your shirt in as much, and you don't see it, so it just like creeps up on you. It's like creep, and before you know it, you just ugh.
Yeah. So it's happening under the baggy clothes, but because you dressed like that most of the time, you don't notice that it's like slowly getting bigger. Yeah. Um, so you mentioned when we met at NHA, prior to you starting, you had some apprehension. I'm curious as to what
Yes.
those were.
Oh, for sure. Um, Again, I'm more on the fitness side as the need for the help.
Mhm.
Although the nutrition piece is very important and weaves into it as well. It's, the components of the whole thing. I think I didn't think, how could somebody teach me fitness and be at arm's length and be so far away? That I need
Yeah.
someone at the gym to correct my posture. I'm very big on, posture and doing exercises correctly. I just had no idea how this could could work. And so that was my apprehension. And, you know, I, that was what I was thinking.
Yeah. How did it work out for you?
It worked out great. It actually was a leap of faith. I got a lot of things happened, and I just got really frustrated with my workouts, and I called Wanda actually because I met you, and then it
Mhm.
was like months I contemplated, but I didn't pull the trigger, and I actually forgot your name and who you were, and I called Wanda, and she, said, gave me your information, and I went on the website and I just saw all the transformations. I'm like, I really took a leap of faith. I'm going to say I
Mhm.
didn't. There's no way to research because you're not going to put it. Part of what we do at Fit Vegan is there's so many aspects to it. It's totally encompassing.
Yeah.
We can talk about some of them that you can't say we do this, that. It's an experience that you have to experience and take the leap of faith when you're ready. You have to be willing, because people can give you information, but you have to definitely you control your destiny. But yeah, so I took the leap of faith to answer your question, and I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure also that I'm a whole food, plant based, healthy eater. I don't consider myself necessarily always vegan because I was just more. I'm a Dr. Furman I saw him on PBS, and then the next day I was, I followed him, and it was more on a healthful journey. And so I didn't know that you guys were embracing that until I got more into it.
Yeah. I love what you said. It's all encompassing. We try to make it as a little ecosystem because it is hard to explain of like it's not just a workout program. It's not
Right.
just a meal plan program. Like there's so
Right.
much in terms of like the mindset, the community, all those things that like they all play a role in helping you
Yes.
get to where you want to. So I'm curious then when you started, what were some of the tools that you found very insightful or helpful to start to get you to to make some progression?
There's so much to talk about for that, but we could start at, so you mentioned the initial, I think initially was that I had joined, we call it the tribe, and it was like a new family. It was people that are, it's like, when you go to family and everyone hugs and they, it's like, it was
Yeah.
very welcoming. You felt very much a part of something bigger than what you've had before, right? And felt welcoming. And I think getting on getting my assignment for the fitness and having to, it was very simple, like it was just very simple, the program that I have in my phone where you go to the gym and each exercise, so this took the fear away, like each exercise is explained quickly because you don't want to sit and listen to these videos by you sometimes, and sometimes there's a generic kind of explanation. And so before you did an exercise, there'd be an explanation, and then you'd have to, document what you do. It's so easy. And I found it repetitive and easy. And I liked it. So immediately I'm like, I can do this because I got, all these computer programs, we're over 65 years old, sometimes there's a hesitancy to, embrace the digital, but this program just was very easy once I got into it. Now Alex explained it. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that now I have someone watching me, watching over me, caring for me, because everyone wants everyone to succeed. So it's not like you have to, it's not militant. It's everyone has their own journey, and like I can do things, but someone else might, everybody has a different, so it's somewhat customized. It is and it's not, but it's somewhat customized to me to make me better. It's not, a generic person. You have to be like them. It's where you are today, and creating baby steps that you could see. It's like baby steps, so that it really becomes effortless. If you like, what's the expression? I wrote it down. I wanted to say it. It takes effort to become effortless at anything, right? So
Yes.
that if so, but starting off, your question was, so meeting my coach and having him really talk to me, and having a real life person, not, there's lots of programs out there that you could follow and they give you advice, but this is like a real life person, and that I could DM him, meaning, like send him a quick email, which I don't do very often, so that when I do, he responds really well, fast,
Yeah.
with a question, or if I'm working out and I'm not sure I'm doing it right, I'll have someone video me, and he'll study it and give me some advice. And then seeing oh, what helped me right away is I have this little book that I got for myself, and this was my way of documenting my calories and my protein. Um,
Mhm.
I don't get too detailed. I don't do the carbs. I don't do the fiber. I just basically do, and I don't do it in a general way. And
Yeah.
I really learned, how to calculate my protein, and it's very simple. The key is simplicity. So this really helped me initially, because I was assigned a calorie amount it was a calorie deficit. And so now someone assigned, I'm very good. I'm going to follow the rules. So he assigned me the calorie deficit and the protein. And if you follow the rules and you're just going to get better. You're just going to have it's going to become not effortless. I don't know if that's the right word, but just, it becomes like the human body is kind of so amazing, right? The human
Yeah.
body is going to, it
So it's
just, it
systematic.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was saying it becomes, systematic. Your body gets into the habit of doing it.
Right. And it becomes easier and easier and easier to be a little more successful at the gym, to get to the next little layer, but level. But it's all done according to your own, where you are today. And everyone's in a different place. So I found it very easy to follow. And so that was my initial, we talked about getting information all around. So listening to your podcast about consistency. Consistency is a habit, right? It becomes easy. So unlike my past, where I wasn't consistent, even with the gym, I'm going to the gym 3-4 times a week. It's getting easier. I'm enjoying it more. I'm learning how to push more. And I learned like how to have this DOMS, delayed onset
Muscle
memory,
soreness.
muscle memory. I would get it in the beginning more, and then less and less as my body got used to what I was doing. But I learned to embrace it, because I'm doing this, and now I'm like, I'm getting somewhere. I'm going forward. And my body was doing it gradually, versus in the past, I go to the gym, knock myself out. I'd be like in bed for 2 days, like just tired, for 2 days. So there's just so many benefits that I saw, and that worked for me, really worked for me.
Yeah, I think, well, first, I appreciate you sharing that. I think a lot of people do the method of like, yeah, go to a gym, knock yourself out, basically sprint, and you're just so drained and exhausted and sore that you literally can't do another workout for a few days after. And once you do it, like you said, meet you where you're at and you do it gradually, there's a bit of a sense of kind of like pride to having a little bit of soreness because, like, yeah, I had a good workout today, but also it's not debilitating where I
Right,
can't not climb the stairs or I can't
right,
not sit in my car without a lot of pain.
right.
Um,
I actually
you,
like when I have a little bit of DOMS because I feel like I've progressed, and I I embrace it.
yeah, and eventually you just learn to, and I always say this in a fun way, but live in a constant state of soreness, right? I have a lot of DOMs today as I'm recording this right now. But there's always like there's some days that are bigger, some days that are a little bit less, depending on when your breaks are. But it's a lot of fun because it comes with the upside of strength and muscle tightness. Um, so I noticed you a few times when you were explaining, kind of your journey, your transformation. You're kind of like grabbing the arms and the shoulder. Is that an area that you've noticed a lot of difference? Because I remember we did our bicep photo at the conference.
I am so strong. Like I'm starting to get part of my everyone has different goals, right? Mine aesthetically, I want to look athletic.
Hmm.
I really had sarcopenia going on. I didn't want to be like, older women kind of get skinny and loose. And my personal goal is to have a little bit of, I actually want to push a little more. I'm going to do some hard sets. And so, yes, I feel a huge difference. My partner will go like this sometimes. He'll touch me, just, he can't believe especially my legs, because remember, I had that pear shape. Now I
Yeah.
can wear, when I play pickleball, I can wear like, the black tight kind of pants. Usually I'd cover, I'd have something straight to cover my rear end. Now it could all be out there. And like my whole body changed. I did lose 10 pounds that, if you take a dumbbell and you realize that that was on your body and it's 10 pounds. So I lost 10, I actually lost 13, and I put on 2 to 3 pounds in the reverse dieting. However, I feel really good. I feel like I don't look at the scale because I go by my body and my clothes, how I feel, and I feel at the right weight now because I'm building muscle. So um, it really feels like the transformation, like in my clothes. Even when I was 13, when I was thinner, I felt a little thin. I really, my goal is I want to be strong,
Yeah.
and I want to be fit, and I want to be tight. And that's not skinny. So I know people have different goals. So,
I
I'm
think
good with the
most
skinny
people,
pants. Yeah.
I think most people want to feel strong. I think that was very like, 60s, 70s, and 80s to be like Pilates, like skinny and all that. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize the importance of feeling strong and having lean muscle, especially as you get older with sarcopenia. Because, yeah, most people do get like, I think you said skinny and loose. Like, that's most people end up looking like that. And there's such a great sensation with feeling strong and having that. You walk around with that tightness after the workout, you're like, you gotta feel a little bit unstoppable for the day, right?
That's your
Um,
world. That's your world, though. I'm in a hiking group, and I had two other women with me, and they were complimenting me. And I said to one, I said, I don't want to be skinny. She says, "Oh, I want to be skinny. I want to be skinny." And these are people, I can't tell you how many people are taking those drugs and they're getting skinny and
all like the
loose.
Ozempic and stuff,
Yeah,
GLP-1.
the drugs that
Yeah,
for diabetes originally, but now it makes them so you're in a world of fitness, but when you get outside the world, so many people, they just some of them just do want to get skinny, and they do want to take this medication. I mean, it's just I shake my head. I feel like
yeah,
we're doing it the right way.
yeah. And I honestly feel like if you could get all these people that want to be skinny, you would just give them the opportunity to feel like the level of strength that you feel for one day. They'd be like, I don't want to be skinny. I want to be fit, which
Mhm.
by default means having, a smaller waist, especially if they're carrying in excess 20, 30, 40 pounds. Usually it's people that carry a lot of weight that want to be skinny. But if they do it the right way with strength training, they'll realize that that side of the equation is a lot more fun and a more freeing of a sensation to have. Um, so you mentioned the arms, the legs a little bit. What was some of your first, moments where you saw your body change as you're kind of going through it? You're like, oh, I see whatever this line in my shoulder, this line in my legs, or I was able to lift this weights. What was kind of like the first big milestone that you're like, wow, this is fun?
Um, I think I in my pickleball game, when when you dink a ball into the kitchen, it goes right over.
Yeah,
Most women can't get them if they're far back. They can't get to that ball. Now, I don't get to all of them by any means, but I get to a lot of them where people are ready to give up, go to the next serve. And they're like, oh, she got it. She got it. I
yeah,
would be able to sprint to, get the, like I just, sometimes I would surprise myself. And the other thing was someone in pickleball mentioned to me, Amy, you really like changed. I didn't even know it at that. That's what made me see. She says, Amy, like you don't realize, like you really changed. I'm like, oh, like it was noticeable, because
yeah,
some of it is when you only have 10 pounds to lose. I touch my stomach right now. It's like a rock. It's really tight. But when you're 65, it's not going to go in like it once did. So I feel I mentioned that I wear my fitness like a badge of honor
yeah,
because I stand up straighter. My posture is better. I feel more confident. It's also me. I'm doing it for me, not for anyone else. I mean, I'm not looking for a boyfriend or like, I'm looking to feel well, have energy, and also do amazing things. Like I started cycling and doing some, long term, long training, which I couldn't do before. I'm just a more fit person. So, but recently I started taking, what is it called? A creatine, little
yeah,
creatine. I don't know if that's helping me develop more muscle. It
yeah.
probably added a few pounds, the 2 pounds to me, which I don't mind because my body is, I'm not looking at the scale every single minute because I learned that you just do the right things and the right things will happen. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Creatine extremely beneficial, especially as you're getting older, to help produce more ATP, which help you train a little bit harder, which help you put on some muscle. But it does come with a little bit of water retention, which could, be one of the reasons why
I think
this
that,
number
yeah.
on the scale is up a bit. Which again, not fat, water retention. So the muscles are just more hydrated, which is a really good thing, especially now that you're, cycling and a pickleball and a strength training. So only beneficial, right?
So I
Um,
think it's helped me because Nick gave me 6 sets with more hard sets. So my
yeah.
first reaction is, Nick, that's cruel and unusual punishment. And he never pushes back on me. He says, well, I'm going to watch you, I'm going to watch you do this. And I'm like, I find it boring to do anyways, but I've been able to really push. So my 6th set is like the next weight up. And
Mhm.
maybe I'm seeing more of that lately.
Yeah. No, for sure. Hey, Nick's a smart man, masters in kinesiology and sports performance. Like he's good at what he does. And yeah, sometimes, Nick has built quite a bit of my workouts throughout the past decade. And sometimes he gives you something you're like, darn you, Nick, why are you putting so many darn sets
I'm
on this
like, Nick, I
exercise?
don't care for that. Can you use something, But, he's very intentional about hitting
Yep.
the whole body. I explained how I avoided certain things. I didn't like that exercise. Well, that's another thing about Fit Vegan. If I don't like an exercise, I still have to do it. And if I have to do it, like there might be, Nick is very, so I can't do push-ups, so I'll do them on my knees. We'll figure a way that works for me, because you can't
Hmm.
be expected to do everything right on day one. But so I'm forced to do the 4x5. It's not a lot of time in the gym, really, that Nick wants me to do. So it takes, I can't, he's going to make sure my whole body is fit. And that, it's good to have
Yeah.
someone like that.
Yeah. Well, training
Perfect.
your legs is like, I would credit the majority of that to you being able to be more explosive at pickleball and being able to hit those shots. You can have a strong upper body, but if the legs are wobbly, unstable, the muscles aren't firing properly, then that's when most people get injured, especially as they get older. It's extreme. Like, not a lot of people in the world enjoy working out their legs. it is
So hard.
it is hard, it's painful, but it's so good in terms of, balancing your hormones, in terms of building stronger bones, because you can actually put more load on your body through training your legs. Um, so, you brought up pickleball a few times. How has you mentioned some shots that you've been able to take, but how has your performance increased from when you started to
Well,
now?
I'm an athlete now. Like I can really get to, when you do a shot that's at an angle, you really have to go off the court and you've got to, get it. And most of the women at my age aren't able to get it. They perfect more of where they're shooting and how they're shooting, and I just have more athletic stamina. The other thing is, when I didn't intend to, but I did train for a century biking. And as I was training, I found I was way too exhausted. Like I was like overtraining because I was training for the biking. I had 4 days in the gym. And in talking with Nick, we had to make some changes. And one thing I learned is you really have to have good recovery, and you really need to take care of yourself and treat rest and relaxation as an important part of the whole thing. And Nick, really drove that home, where he took me from 4 workouts to 3 so that I can do more. When I was training for my century ride, which he helped me with, that's a whole other story that, he really helped me with my nutrition for that, which was very different and deviated from what I was doing before. But
Yeah,
it really helped me.
endurance events is a different ball game when it comes to fueling, and it's welcome to the world of athletes. Once
Yeah.
you train for things like that, a recovery day is actually a recovery day. It's not like, oh, I don't have the gym, let me take 20,000 steps a day. It's like, no, you should actually rest and put your legs up and stretch and do sauna and ice bath and like not exercise, because if you have, a busy life, most people have some stress in their life on top of the stress of training, on top of being a stress and a calorie deficit. Like, you need to have some of those days where you're fully recovering.
Right. And then the sleep component. So, we're talking about it's not just nutrition and fitness. There's this cycle of life, other things that affect our fitness, and one was is sleep. We've talked a lot about getting the proper amounts of sleep and consistency in sleep. And one of the things I learned from you directly with one of your podcasts was the digital, and I took action on this. I always had my phone right at my night table. I know
Yeah.
other people have said this too, but it's a big deal. So now it's across the room, and under no circumstances, even if I get up to go to bed, whatever I have to do, I don't even look at it. Because if I look at it, you get addicted,
Yep.
and that's really, really helped me. And we do it, in the check-ins. That's a little part of our weekly, check-in about our sleep. Very important.
Yeah. Now the phone is, the digital detox is definitely, putting the phone away definitely makes a big difference, because you can exercise, stretch, work on your mobility, be hydrated, manage your stress, eat whole food, plant based. But if your sleep is all out of whack, you're going to feel terrible. You're still going to get sick. You're still going to be more likely to get injured. It is the one biggest impact that you can have in a positive or negative way, for sure, on the sleep.
When I
And it's
was
such
30
a,
years old, when I was 30 years old, I could get away with it, even 40. Like, so but when I'm now, if I don't get a good night, I can't get away with it anymore. Something happens in you that, you just, you can't do that to yourself because your next day will be just like horrendous. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I can't get away with it. Even at my age, I'm just so used to being fine tuned that if I do something that's slightly off of me being fine tuned, I can feel it. So, which is a good thing because then I'm, ensuring that I'm going to be healthier for the long run. But I definitely can't sleep 4 or 5 hours or even 6 hours in a night. Like,
Like you used to.
I'm
I'm sure you used to occasionally do. Well,
to be fair, I've always been somewhat of an athlete, so I've always slept like
oh,
7 to 10 hours. I've
oh,
always
wow.
like prioritized the sleep. It's always
Wow.
been like just sleep until I wake up, basically. Unless I have a flight, that's probably the only way I would cut a sleep short. But no, I built my life around sleeping properly because it's the thing that makes you feel the best. Um, so I'd love to ask you. You've shared like a lot of great wins and athletic feats and muscle definition and all those fun things. But I'd love to know, was there any moments of challenge along the way that you've had to overcome and or navigate?
Yeah. I have, and people can't believe when they hear this, but I have a food addiction. Um, so when you're an alcoholic, you just simply don't drink, right? When you have a food addiction, you have to eat to live. So you're eating, it's and my food addiction is can be really bad, and I was never like super heavy or overweight, so people can't believe it. But it basically is if I have Thanksgiving over my house and I have extra food and I'm cleaning it up, I'll sit and eat a half a pecan pie, like literally myself. No one's around. I do it in private. I eat like tons and tons of like desserts and food. And in the past, I would call it falling off the wagon. And when that happens, you do it the next day. And then you do it the next day. And what I've learned is that you can have a little error in judgment, have a piece of kit, whatever, but just win the next meal, just go back on it. Um, I've had two since I started Fit Vegan. I've had really one bad one, like where I went really off the wagon, but it was only for a day, so what didn't keep going. So if the question is where did I have struggles? I had this struggle and I was really mad at myself. But Fit Vegan taught me how to, pick myself up, and I didn't go crazy off the wagon. So in other words, I would have like maybe two pieces of cake. That's definitely like not, and it might not even be whole food plant based. Like I just went off. Um, Getting myself back on the next day, I found I'll be a little descriptive. I went to the bathroom, and it all came out for some reason. Maybe my body was rejecting it. I felt like in the two cases that I had, one case I didn't even gain weight really. So I think what I learned was to manage that. I'm always going to have that. I feel like it's never going to go away, but I'm learning to manage it. And sometimes I learned like I can give myself permission on my birthday to have a piece of cake, but it's one
Of
piece of
course.
cake, and
Yeah.
it's so I was on this perfect, you know what that's like if you go off and you have one piece of cake, I'll just go, go off. You're off the wagon, and I learned that that's not the case, and so I can do this. I'm going to be with Fit Vegan December a year. I have to learn to do this on my own and be a big girl pants, be a big girl, and like I'm not there yet. I still I'm not there yet, but I think this is a journey, not a destination. We're never gonna like get there, whatever that is. But I'm certainly learning how to manage my flaws and live a life that's good and how I want it to be. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
No, it does. There's two things that come to mind. I can't remember what the quote is, but it's like, don't ask for life to be easier, ask to be stronger to deal
Oh,
with it. I think it's very similar when it comes to food, especially if you have like for myself, having a history of food and kind of similar to you as well. You, you'll still have those temptations. Like I'll still have my moments where I'm like, you know what, I want some cookies or some popcorn or some pizza or whatever. And then I'll have it. And then the only difference is what happens in your head after you have it. Do you beat yourself up because you did like, oh my God, you suck, you messed up and blah, blah, blah. Or you go like, cool, great, had a great time. Let's just win the next meal, right? And or if it's earlier in the day, can I make the rest of the day fit within my calories? And then therefore I was never on track for the whole day. Like me eating, 2 slices of pizza was never on track the whole day because I made it fit within my calories. So it's being able to navigate life, because realistically, like we live in a society that wants you to eat these foods, that have been engineered for you to eat these foods and to want to crave these foods. And so you just develop more internal tools and self-talk to be able to navigate the scenarios. And whenever you do have some of those food, it is more of a conscious choice versus an out of control choice. And then
Right.
therefore you can be like, cool, I chose to have 2 pieces of pie. Fantastic. It was good. Let me just win the next meal. Because a Buddha bowl won't make you healthy. 2 pieces of pie won't make you unhealthy. Right.
Right.
It's like the bigger picture of the rest of your food, your exercise, your sleep. Like you said, there's so many different components to it. Um, and also the other analogy that came up as you were talking was, when you come in, you're kind of learning how to bicycle, and we got training wheels on because we're adding a lot of things. It's like, hey, food, but proportion of food, exercise in a certain way. Let's start training legs for the first time in a long time, right? So we have training wheels on, and eventually as you progress, we remove the training wheels where we have our hand on the steering wheel with you. Eventually we're just kind of like slightly nudging the steering wheel just to make sure that you're staying up. Once you leave the program and a little bit before, then it's like we remove our hands from the bike. Then you're biking. And when you leave the program, then it's like, oh, Coach Nick is not beside me now. So then the bike starts to wobble a little bit as you start to like pick up some speed. But as you wobble a little bit, eventually you find your balance and then you're good to go after. And that's kind of the idea, right? Is having some support until we can get you up to speed where you have a little bit of wobble, but once you find your balance, you'll be good, because you can't have someone beside you the whole time. So like, I'm happy that you're now learning these tools and strategies to be able to navigate this on your own, because realistically it's going to be you and your head forever, right, with food. And so I think you've picked up a lot of great tools and strategies to be like, yeah, pecan pie was fantastic, who cares, not the end of the world, right?
The other
Just get
thing
back
that
at it.
happens, this might resonate with some people, is on the way, I have a theater group, and let's say it's Friday, and I drive home myself, and I have the opportunity. I could stop. No one's with me now. I'm by myself. I could stop anywhere I want. I can have
Yeah.
an ice cream. I could go to Giuseppe's and get like, I love fresh mozzarella cheese. It's the death of me. It's terrible. I feel disgust. Like I'll eat, no one will see me. No one will notice. And I'm like, that's my food addiction. It will never go away completely. But what I've learned, just take some time. Just don't be so quick to do that. Just, take your time, think. So I could talk myself out of it. I really can talk myself out of it. It's not like right in front of me. I just like, in 5 minutes, I'll be over this. This is like the addiction. 10 minutes, it comes, 15. I'm like, I got through it. That happens to me sometimes. And I can get through it without having to do the one little piece of something. I think I'll always have that, but I've learned to keep it in check. And I'm thankful for all this. It's really made a big difference to me.
Yeah. And, just from my own personal experience and from a lot of members that we've coached throughout the years, it dims down over time, right? Because this is kind of like this past year has been you really actively working on this, right? Because, like you said, most people, when they come in, I want to improve my body composition by 10 pounds. I want to build some muscle. Like, it's a very, and everyone's the same. It's more physical of goals. But then I'm sure, as you saw when you came in, it becomes very internal real quick, because the internal is the reason why we don't have the physical. Then it's like, let's deal with this stuff inside. And this is like your first year, like going deeper into it with such guidance. And so I can promise you that as you continue to work on, the voice gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And eventually it's just like you'll drive by it and I'll just pick a little murmur and you won't even think about it at that point. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Uh,
Yeah.
so has there been, any times throughout throughout the past year basically where there was that loud voice and then you gave into it, and how did you navigate that moment to get you
Yes, I
back
had to tell
on
Nick
track?
about it. How I navigated it, I confessed. I had a
Okay.
confession. I have a weakness for something. And I went, like, I literally, this was earlier on, and I like drove to the place. So it wasn't like I was driving. I went to get this. I don't even want to tell you what it is, but I went to get it. And I was like, oh, and I'm going to eat this in my car and I'm going to do this. And I just felt, I confessed to Nick and he just listened to me. But just the confession just felt good to get it out. And I'm like, I don't want to confess to him again. Like, I don't want to, I want to be a good, I want to do the right things in this program. I want to get what I wanted out of it. And so you have to be willing. And so, was that an answer to, like, cause I literally, I
Yeah.
was being like bad. I was a bad girl. I, I,
Yeah.
I went knowingly. It was really bad. Like, I, it's a smoked fish thing that I love as a little child. And it's horrible. Like, I hope I never do that again, ever.
Yeah. And, again, why put so much importance on it? Maybe you will. And if you do, like, who cares? Don't beat
Yeah,
yourself up for it. Just win the next meal, right?
right.
I think, as I do a lot of these episodes with members and kind of hear their story and kind of how they got to, being able to have successful transformation. Um, I think the biggest thing that comes out is like, we're never going to scream at you or give you shit for going
No,
off track because you and everyone else are going to be harder on yourself than we would be on a member or someone's transformation. Like, what's the point of us being like, oh, you ate that thing, it wasn't good, blah blah blah. Like, you've probably already done that after you ate the thing. Like, why add to it at this point? Like, what's the best strategy? How fast can we get back on track? The next meal is a pretty good strategy to do that.
and
And so,
the accountability that my weekly check-ins. I want to be positive. It's like coming home with a good report card. You just want it
yeah,
to be positive, and I want to be a good student. Or whatever. That's just me. Um, but yeah, no, just if I had a little weight gain, there was never any. It's just the accountability piece that really helped me through this.
yeah, knowing someone was going to check in on you and be able to kind of review things with you, and I think one reason you've also been able to be successful is because you were self-committed when you came in.
You
You
need that.
didn't Yeah, you didn't. I gotta say this. Some people think that outsourcing the commitment is going to solve their problem. They're like, I paid you, therefore you have to make me do all of those things. I'm like,
Yeah. No.
"Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I flew to those people's houses and knock on their door every morning, they'd find a way to not answer me eventually. Like, you internally need to have some level of commitment to like, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do the workout when no one is watching, or I'm gonna make the different food decision when no one is watching. There needs to be that level of self commitment, and your willingness to navigate the internal work to show up on the nutrition side and the training side when it wasn't perfect is what allowed you to be consistent enough to see those changes where you're better at pickleball, your arms are tighter, your stomach is harder, your legs are stronger. Like, that all
If I
came as a
knew it all,
result
I
of that.
wouldn't need to be in the program. I look at it, I wouldn't need the program. So I think anyone thinking of doing this just needs to be in a place in their life where they have an open mind. Like, you're here for a reason, maybe if we just kind of go through and just do what they say, maybe, maybe it will be a natural progression, like baby steps, to a successful outcome.
Yeah. Um, I'd love to ask you this. So, when people are going to listen to this episode, they're going to be like, wow, Amy really did a good job. Like, talk about like a harder stomach, faster at pickleball. They'll be like, I want these things. What is what are some like a piece of advice that you would give to the people that want to achieve some of those outcomes, that like a lesson that you've learned for yourself having gone through this transformation?
Hmm. I would say from to try, well, for me to find pleasure in your workouts, to enjoy the gym. If like for example, I wasn't liking my sneakers because I wasn't right on my so I wound up having a pair of sneakers for my jogging and a pair of sneakers for working out. That made me happy, because I could be more being for nutrition, enjoying the food part, like like we have some really beautiful places for vegetables and fruits, and it could be a nice good experience if you have time and you're not rushed. um, in my home, I have an open kitchen, so I can, while I'm preparing food, I can talk to people. And so I make the preparation not a chore, at least mentally. I make it part of who I am, like I like home cooked meals and, the outcome. So I give time to that, and I, clean up as I go. So that's all positive. Um, I think success breeds success, and the human body, like you look at, I'll just say, you look at the hostages coming back and what they look like and their bodies, what they've been through. And they're going to change their nutrition. They're going to change their fitness. And in a month's time, 2 months' time, they're going to be fit and well nourished. So the human body, you can change. The human body is completely amazing. It just doesn't do it like that. We're wired
Yeah.
to have it done fast. So, I would say be patient. And so, did I answer what? I mean, I'm sure I could think of other things because there's just so much. My whole life for the past 9 months has been this journey. I think it's my own secret power that I carry within me. I don't have friends that I don't talk to about this. It's my own. It's my own secret power, I guess. And I do it for myself to feel good. I don't do it to get compliments. I do it, so I feel good. And
Yeah. Um, I was gonna say it's people think it happens, well, they want it to happen like that. They think it's just
yeah.
like turning a car, but
If
it's
you're
more like
30
turning a
years old,
boat.
it happens faster, but at 60, it's going to be slow. So you might as well enjoy it and get pleasure out of it. And then talk. And the other thing that happens is at Fit Vegan, we have this tribe and you meet some really nice people. I think I met one at NHA, we rah you and you went on stage.
Yeah, with Judy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm friends with her. She texts me. I ate bad this, we talk and we have a relation. She's from rural Illinois and I'm from New York City. So we're friends.
Yeah.
We have a common where, people have more similarities than they have differences, right? And so we're all have a lot of, and everyone sort of supports everyone, and it's kind of nice. That's how I know Tanya. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It's
so that's a nice piece.
yeah, I think most people, obviously, because we work with primarily, you probably notice this on the group calls, like 50 to 86 is typically who we work with. So usually people are coming in with like 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 decades of like bad relationship with food, or having a certain perception of strength training and resistance training, that it's not a thing that women do. And so there's a lot of new learning curves that kind of take place. And I think that's why a community is so important, because like you said, middle of of the states, for Judy, you're in New York City, sometimes people aren't around other people like us. So it's nice to connect with like-minded people. Like, oh, you struggle with that too, I struggle with that too, but no one else in their surrounding can understand because they're eating steak and potatoes and butter and all those things.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
sharing recipes. I mean, we now have a little section in our
in the
program where
app,
you can
yeah.
share recipes. People are, going back and forth with that. I
It's
think
very
it's
active
all,
in there.
yes.
It is very active. That was a good idea to add that group because a lot of you guys are sharing recipes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what was earlier what I was saying is people expect a change to happen rapidly and they think it's like turning a car, but it's more like turning a boat. Like you just have to do like quite a bit of action before you start to see a change in direction and where you want to go. And we I understand that, us working with you for a year is by all means not the full extent of the full picture. Like I understand that when people come to work with us, it's like Amy's life was heading in this direction. We pivoted it by 10 degrees and now it's heading in a completely different direction. So if I change it by 10 degrees and I add 5,000 miles to it, you're going to end up in a very different place than where you were heading before you came in, right? Because you're taking a different level of action. You have a different mindset around food and exercise and yourself. So in changing internally, I'm curious, how did that make you show up differently in your day-to-day life now that you like kind of say do the things that you say that you're going to do with your nutrition and your workouts and you're feeling stronger? Did that change a little bit how you show up?
What do you mean by show up?
How you show up in the world, in relationships, in communities, in your day-to-day actions?
Well, when you have a program that's very specific, um, it internally makes you driven to your own goal, and not necessarily like if you have a group of, like, I'm in certain clubs, like I have a hiking club and we do, parties and activities, and I can't eat half the food that's there. So it kind of makes me show up and affirm what I'm doing, because I have to, be committed to my goal, right? And not, so I do the social things. There's always a little, I bring my own food or whatever, but it makes me more confident in what I'm doing for myself. I'm not following the crowd. So it makes me show up stronger with more conviction, and which it's a cycle. It's like, a car in motion stays in motion. So it's self, some people notice. Um, some people it bothers, to be honest with you. Some people don't want to see you succeed, because I'm in a big group of all kinds of people, not only the people I select to be friends with. I can
Mhm.
tell you there's one person that hates my guts. She does. She's happy and pleasant to me, but she hates that I look good. I can just see it. And I'm very nice to her and she's very nice to me, but it's seething. It comes out. So I show up. I'm very nice. I try to go under the radar. I don't want to say I'm vegan, I'm plant based. I try to do it
Yeah.
for me, so I try to show up for me. This is what I'm doing for me. I'm not bothering you. In fact, if I have I had a New Year's Eve party last year. I had all Italian food with gooey cheese and stuff. I will, do that for this, a particular group. That's not just my hand selected friends. It's like a group that, would be together. So I show up for myself. It makes me, I think, more genuine and authentic to myself. I'm learning more about myself as a person. I'm learning to, we do talk about, meditation and being grateful, because now we're 65. These are the best years, by the way, for anyone, when you retire and, you're healthy enough to travel, to exercise, to, do all kinds of things with people. These are the best years, and so why not be the best you can be? So that's how I deal with showing up with dealing with all of this.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's more ownership into like your new identity and kind of who you are and your actions. And
Yeah, I don't try to
uh,
preach it to other people. People, in fact, there's one woman who has two children that are diabetics, and they're the one type 1, and like it's really bad. So initially she's a science teacher. She was, because I took the Campbell course, and I had some training in nutrition, that I was able to talk to her about changing the diet, but this, then the other thing. And about 6 months later, she was, frustrated with her kids. And she says, Amy, it's not all about diet, this. And I just tuned it all out. I just, like sometimes you can't preach, you can't say, but really you need to read you just got to let it go and just, be good with yourself.
Yeah.
You can only get to so many people, and just, do it for you. Be self-care is not selfish. you know?
No. And you can only help people that want to be helped. Um, we've learned that obviously throughout the years and trying to serve people. We can only help people that want to be helped. And, just to go back to that lady you said earlier that this has a dislike to you.
Oh, yes. Ugh.
I think it says, I was going to say this. I encourage people that if there is someone that has what you want, be more inspired than angry at them, which is just a reflection that you're angry at yourself because you can't do the action to get the outcome that that person has that you so desire. So if someone has what you want, don't be angry at them, which is just you being angry at yourself because you can't do it. Be inspired. Ask them how they can do that thing. Because yeah, it's, to me, it's silly to be upset at someone that has more success than you in an area that you want. It's like, just, you have this person in front of you, use that to your advantage or learn from them. How did you do it? Right? How do I get the thing that you have? But I think people get very defensive because, to be fair, it is hard work. Like, you've had to work out 3-4 times a week this whole time. You've had to have your moments where you wanted certain foods and you didn't go for them. And,
And
or
I'm
if you did,
successful. It's so
exactly,
obvious, and so it's out there to see. When after 8 months, I'm
you can't
throwing
hide
up.
those arms, Amy.
What's that?
You can't hide those arms.
Yeah, even in the clothes, you could see a little bit of this. It's really.
Yeah, hey, that's the beauty of being fit. It's like you can't really hide it unless you wear really baggy clothes, which you won't because you work so hard that you want to wear nice fitted clothes, that
The
shows what you've
best
been
thing,
working
the
for.
best thing is going to a wedding, and I wore something where my shoulders were exposed, and looking nicer than some of the young kids. The kids who are like
Yeah,
25 and 30, they've got all this really tight skin, but loose under, like they only
yeah,
have like 5 years to go, and like just looking better than half the young kids is really kind of like awesome.
yeah. That's a good reward. Yeah. I just say, hey, just, I can tell you how many people come to us. They're like, I have a wedding in like 2 months. I need to drop 40 pounds. I'm like, we're not going to do that, but how about we get you in shape and then stay wedding ready versus having to get ready for a wedding? How about you just ready all the time? There's
Yep.
weddings, whatever it may be, you're ready to rock.
Yep.
We had a member, and I'm not going to say her name, and maybe she'll listen to the episode or not, but it was funny. We had met in person, and she said, he's like, a little bit older. And she says, we have to go to a lot of funerals because, friends are passing. And he's like, I just want to make sure I look darn good at those funerals and get in shape, fit in my clothes nicely. It's not always weddings, but yeah, she wanted to make sure it looks good at the funeral. So I was like, hey, just stay ready. That's it. That way you don't have to get ready for any of it. Um, well, Amy, one last question I'd love to ask you is, for people that are potentially in the position that you were in before you got started with your transformation, right? You were on a certain path of, eating whole food, plant-based. Nutrition was a little bit different. We weren't necessarily doing exercises that we, didn't want to do. The lower body we didn't train it as much. So someone that is in that position, what is a piece of advice that you would have for them if they're wanting to improve themselves?
I would say the time is now. What are you waiting for? There's no better time than to just do it. I took a leap of faith, and as long as you have an open mind and you're willing, there are so many success stories amongst us that you really don't have much to lose other than weight and gaining muscle. That's as simply as put as I could, say.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I think it is scary to take a leap because there's a learning curve on the other side of taking that leap. But at the end of the
Right.
day, you can either learn how to be healthy or learn how to be healthy or learn how to be unhealthy. Like you're gonna learn something, might as well learn the right thing at that point. Um, but yeah, Amy, honestly, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the podcast. It was a pleasure, connecting at NHA and doing a little
Yes.
push-up contest with
Yes.
Ivy, Wanda, and
And by the
Judy.
way, I can do 3 regular push-ups now with my full body extended.
Nice.
Very quick, it took me like, I couldn't even do one on my knees. But
Yeah.
just yesterday, I took a picture for Nick. I'm working out and I'm doing like 3 really hard, push-ups. And there's a guy next to me with 45 pounds on his back doing push-ups up and I started laughing hysterically. I said, "Do you mind if I take a picture of you? Because I want to show my coach. It's taken me so long just to do, one."
Yeah.
But to just success is you just keep at it and it happens. Just
Yep.
happens.
Yeah, well, from being able to go not being able to do 1 push-up on your knees and not doing 3 full push-up, a lot of people
Three,
wish they
yeah.
could do 1 full push-up, so
You
that's
saw I
phenomenal.
couldn't do one. I did them on my knees. I could not do one, but 3, now I'm working on 4 and we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful. So, basically, that was in what, June NHA? So,
June.
that's like, what, 3, 4 months or so since
Yes.
then? So, that's phenomenal progression. Yeah, good. Well, I'm excited for you. I look forward to seeing you on TV as a professional pickleball player as well. You have to sign your racket for me, your paddle
Thank
for
you.
me.
Thank you. It was really nice chatting. I could chat. You're very easy to speak with and I'll see you at the next NHA or maybe some other trip we cross paths.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll do a workshop next year.
Okay.
We're gonna try to do Cabo. So we'll give a
Oh, that
proper
would be
heads up to
great.
everyone.
I was in Italy like right before that. I couldn't go. And then it was the Jewish holiday, I think, also. But I would love to do next year with Judy. We talked about it.
Yeah, yeah, because Judy didn't come to that one as well because she was on a trip also. But yeah,
Right.
I'll definitely let you know. But Amy, again, big thank you for jumping on the show. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you. Good job on your transformation, and we'll look forward to continuing to having you in the
Thank
family
you.
for the rest of the time
Thank
in your
you.
program and after and at the
Yep.
workshop. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and everyone, thank you very much for listening to the episode, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.